folks, and welcome back for part 2 of the video series on this red line here. So it's been a couple of weeks since I've initially posted and replaced the wheels on this, and I was trying to find a reproduction windshield for this before I decided if I was going to take it apart or not. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like they make a reproduction. So I kind of looked at a few on eBay that might be worth using for parts, a parts card. Maybe one I could take the windshield off and use on this one. But none of them were in any worse condition than this one. And many of them, the windshield was missing completely. So what I've decided to do is go ahead and press on and replace the motor, the replacement motor that I got for it. So I am going to have to take it apart, which means removing these spun rivets on the front and back. And I probably won't, when I'm done, I probably won't put it back together permanently, and still keep my eye out for a replacement windshield. Like I said, the paint on this is not horrible. It's actually pretty good. And also a good opportunity to show you a little trick I learned years ago with these Spectra Flame cars. Some of them you can, if you got little scratches like that, you can find a permanent marker to fill that in and you'd never know it. So like on this green, I know that a green Sharpie is pretty close to making it look like the original. I can fill that in right there. And as you can see, it blends pretty good. So if I had the decal to put back on it, I could, and that would actually make it look pretty good. I may have to do it a couple of times, but just for a touch up, if you have any high places that paint's missing, you just hit it with the Sharpie that's close to the color, and it'll kind of fill it in for you. Now I'm still looking for the decal sheet for this as well. I'm sure there's one out there somewhere. I just haven't been able to track it down yet. So anyhow, that's going to be the update on this. I will probably go ahead and take it apart here in the near future. And I'm not going to, probably not going to film that, just because I've done it 100 times. And there's a billion videos out there about how to take these rivets apart or drill them out and take it apart. So I may or may not, I don't know yet. But anyhow, this is just an update, and I'll bring you guys when we're ready to do that and carry on to the next step of replacing this motor. See you in a bit. Okay, so as you can see, as I mentioned, I decided to go a different direction with this since I already had it apart. I decided to go ahead and paint it. Now, I didn't have the Spectra Flame green, which the model was, so I decided to go with a Spectra Flame yellow, which I did have. Since this is not a restoration, I don't care. This is just more for my display, a conversation piece, etc. But I really like the yellow on this model. It turned out really good. And as I mentioned, this model was re-released in 1974 as a Rush. And by that time, they weren't using the Spectra Flame colors anyhow. But anyhow, I really like the way it turned out. I like the yellow. I still want to find the decal sheet for this. So when I put it back together, I'll leave it to a point where I can take it apart easily. Now, hopefully you can see how I drilled these pillars out, right? Just big enough for these finishing nails to fit in perfectly. And I'd already cut one down so you could kind of see what it looks like. And that's what I'll use for these pillars to secure the base to the chassis. I don't know if I'll use super glue. Since I may take it apart later, I might use Loctite. A lot of people never mention Loctite, but if you use the Loctite blue, you can easily get the pillars or screws back out later. It's just enough to hold it together. So that's where we're at. I want to show you how to kind of prep the pillar caps or the spun rivets, whatever you want to call it, for this. It's a pretty easy process. But if y'all have any questions about the paint or anything, just leave them in the comments and I'll certainly respond. For the base, the only thing I did to prep it, kind of clean it up a little bit, was to use one of them soft brass brushes, which I think I have right here. And that's just enough to put a little shine on it, take any oxidation off of it, just to make it look a lot better than it was. And yeah, I did have to take the wheels back off, which is no big deal if you have the right tool to do it. All right, so what I'll do, since the rivet on the front, the spun rivet or whatever you want to call it, is kind of rounded, a little convex look to it. All you have to do is put one of these screws in the drill like I have here, crank it up, and you'll see how it's kind of rounded over a little bit. Hopefully you can see. Now the key to this is to cut it at length so it fits inside what you've already drilled out pretty good and tight. So I'll go ahead and put the windscreen back in. Man, I really wish I could find a replacement. Again, if any of y'all know where I can find a reproduction or original that's in good shape, please let me know. All right, now we'll put this back together like that. All right. So the key to this is cutting your rivet or your spun rivet or whatever you want to call it deep enough to bottom out where you've already drilled. That will take some trial and error. So let me do that and I'll bring you guys back in just a second. But as you can see, it's already looking so much better. Okay, so I've got this spun rivet ready to go back in. And as you can see, I just cleaned up the head to look more like the original and kind of cleaned up the edges a little bit. It's hard to really tell on camera, I'm sure. But if you can see, it kind of curves in a little bit. And I cut it perfectly to length to fit right into where I drilled out the pillar. So you can see that's pretty much perfect right there. Now the rear one is the same. The only difference is it's a little bit less round. It's a little bit smaller. So I'll have to do the same to it. And then I need to decide if I'm going to use the Loctite or maybe just a touch of super glue. Usually that'll work fine. I mean, if you want to take it apart later, you can take something like this, like a little soldering iron, and heat it up, and it'll come right back out later. So that's where I'm at, and that's what I'm getting ready to do. I'll do the same process to the rear as I did to the front, and then I'll bring you guys back in just a second. Okay, so I got the caps for the pillars prepared. This will be the front one. As you can see, it's a little bigger than what the rear one was. And all I did, like I said, put it in the drill and just kind of run it across the file to make it a little bit smaller. But it looks a lot better. It looks closer to the original anyhow. So basically, when it comes to these, all we have to do, again, I'll put some, I think I'm going to use just a touch of super glue and put down where I drilled before I put the spun rivets back in. They just slide down in here. It may test your patience just a bit, like that. And the rear one, like that. Now if you compare this to the previous photo that I took, that looks pretty much just like it did stock before I did anything to it. So I'll get a touch of super glue, I'll put it in here, and I'll go ahead and put the wheels back on, and I'll bring you guys back for the final reveal. See you in a bit. Okay, for now we're going to call this done. I think it's a good repair. I think it turned out really good. Like I said, even though they never released this model in the Spectra Flame Yellow, I think it looks really good on here. I ended up using just a drop of super glue to hold the rivets in place and everything. And if I ever need to take them apart, it shouldn't be no big deal. But as you can see, that looks pretty much just like it did OEM, right off the factory line. I'm sure, I've gotten questions before about the Spectra Flame. You can buy the Spectra Flame paint. If you're not fluent with using an airbrush or anything like that, I'll show you a little hack that was given to me years ago. You can actually buy this Krylon stained glass paint in many colors. You can get it in the green, the yellow, the maroon, the red, the blue, and it's for creating stained glass, just like it says. But when you spray it on polished metal, it looks exactly like the Spectra Flame paint, or very close enough you'd never know the difference. I wish I had the green to put it back to the original color, but I kind of like this yellow. It kind of looks good. So I'm still in search of the windscreen, windshield, and a decal sheet. Now some of these didn't come with decals, so that's no big deal. But I definitely want to replace the windshield to make it look just like it did brand new. But again, you know, my daughter paid $1 for it. I've got like $6 or $7 in the wheels, and I can't remember how much the replacement engine was, but I think it was probably around $6 as well. And for that, I think we got a really nice display piece that'll display well with the other red lines. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. I'll certainly reply, no big deal. If you have any comments, leave them in the comments and I'll respond to them as well. But for a nice weekend project, I think this one turned out really good, and I'm happy with it. So for now, we're going to leave it at that. I guess I'll see you guys for the next project. I don't know what it may be. Could be a Jeep project, could be another Hot Wheels project, or could be a Beetle project. So please be sure to like the video and share with your friends. We'd certainly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. That helps us and motivates us to put out more videos. All right, till next time, I'll talk to y'all later.